Hey guys, happy Sunday. So I'm on ready for my 25 days of Christmas, today's project. So if you remember, I did these jar lid pumpkins with some dried moss on them to make them a little bit more pumpkin-y. So how you can repurpose these or reuse these is to take that moss off that I glued on, and then sometimes when I put the stem in, I will glue it in, and sometimes I don't. So how it's gonna work today is I'm just gonna leave the stem in there, but you could also do one and take the stem out if you didn't glue it and use it that way as well. So I still had a whole bunch of lids left that I didn't realize I had. Whoops. So we're gonna go ahead and do a ring really fast here in case you haven't seen that tutorial on doing the pumpkins. Now these lids are the smaller size lids, and actually all of the pumpkins that I have, well, that one looks actually a little bit smaller. These first two are probably a little bit bigger. So you would either want to do 3 rings that are the same size, or you could do 2 that are a little bit bigger and 1 that's a little bit smaller. And basically what you're going to do is you are lining the rings up so that one of them is going to be inside the other, and then you just have to keep doing that all the way around. I would say on average you're looking at doing about 15 rings. So what we've got here will make it 15. Now, if I was going to leave this the color that it is, then I'm not gonna worry about the color of my lids. But if you are not gonna spray paint it, then I would make sure to separate out your lids. And the problem's gonna be, Kellen, you're gonna have to clip this for me. So you're gonna wanna have your wire clip before, probably right there, before you do it. And this is just that black wire that I used for my projects the other day. Just cut a little piece of it. I try and put it into like a horseshoe shape, and then you're going to run it into, probably not a horseshoe, probably more like a candy cane shape. And then you're gonna run it around where the jars are open to get it back to the starting point. Your biggest thing with the jars where they are right now is that when you're getting ready to close your ring, you want to make sure that that first and last jar lid are, nestled inside each other, okay? Kind of like what I was just showing you. And then this wire is pretty tight. So I had pliers here. Maybe cash strap them. So you're going to, I would normally use pliers with this. You're going to twist that wire like a twisty tie at the end. I think it's really easy to do it with pliers because you can just pinch the ends and then turn your pliers and tighten out the wire. The tighter you get it, the bigger the dowel rod or whatever you use for the stem you would need. So for this one, I would need a pretty big hole because I couldn't tighten it with my fingers, and I cannot find my pliers, even though I thought they were right here. So you need a bigger one. I just did this one this morning with the wire, with the pliers, and so I could tighten it a lot better. So you can see that this one, I would need a really thin thing to go in there to be the stem. On this one, it's much more, movable because it needs a stem in there to hold it tight. So we're going to use this one. So that's how you're gonna make the circle to make the ring part. So if you're taking pumpkins that you already had, how this is working is that this stem, when I glued it in there, it didn't go all the way to the bottom. This stem, it is going all the way to the bottom. So I can't stack those because the stems are getting in the way, but I can go the other way. And then actually that stem is helping hold it in place. But I would glue it to secure them to each other. And you could do it on the stem, but I also think here in places where it's actually going to touch, which it's sitting differently this time, you would want to do it there as well. So I'm gonna put it where the stem is, and then I'm gonna put kind of a ring around here as well too. And I did grab an extra glue stick. So I got my old prices on there. Okay, let me stick a glue stick in here so it can be warming up. Okay, so then we have our bottom two rungs of for our snowman. If you look on Pinterest, there are a lot of different things that you could do. You can do, a lot of people just did a styrofoam ball as the head. Some people did all kinds of things with the jar lids to make them into heads. I actually just like stacking, it on top and calling that good. So I'm gonna do another ring here, hopefully in the right spot to hit. And then before I do that, I just want to make sure that I've kind of evenly spaced around the jar lids, because that way you have less of a gap so you can't see into it as much. That's another reason it's nice to use the pliers to twist that wire tight, because then you can kind of use those pliers to bend it and tuck that wire in so it's not as noticeable. So already you're getting the snowman effect, and I actually like it like this without even spray painting it, but that's just me. I found this hat at Walmart, and it was like the last one at our shop, so I grabbed it. And then they also sell these little ornaments. So if you were going to do, I could see it if you had that styrofoam ball and you put this one on the side, just for something fun, even though it's kind of little and not completely in proportion, but it's still cute. But I thought that this hat fit pretty good the size that I have, and so I would just glue it on. The other reason that I didn't want to use a styrofoam ball is because that would have been something else that I needed to purchase to just add on to what I had to purchase already. I mean, the jar lids, I obviously get those for the pumpkins when I make the pumpkins. And hopefully I picked a good spot for that. And the reason I'm kind of paying attention to where the jar lids go is for the rest of the face for my snowman. So there's lots of options on what you could do. I did find some black and orange pipe cleaners, so you could use those to kind of make a carrot looking nose. I also had the kids dig up some crayons, which it looks like one of my crayons, here it is, crayons is missing. So I thought you could take the paper off and you could put the nose on there. We also had just in our craft pile some pom-pom things and happened to have some orange ones, so you could do a nose like that. Online, it seemed to be where people either took construction paper and cut a triangle, or like we have some stickers and happen to have some that are a triangle, so you could put those on there. It kind of depends on what you want. So Cash did not like the idea of doing buttons at all, and I happen to have these black magnets, and so we thought that those would work decently well, be proportioned. And so they are strong enough that I can put them kind of on the side of the jar lid so that they don't look super close together or super far apart. And then I liked the pom-pom nose. Cash did not. So we kind of brainstormed what we could do for the crayon. So I think I'm gonna cut it and then hot glue it. I don't know how hot glue in a crayon is gonna work, but we'll find out. And then you can do, if we had some matching fabric like on the hat, then you can add that as a scarf. I really didn't have any of that laying around, although I could have gone out to the truck and trimmed some of that red burlap I used when I decorated the truck. The only thing that I had fabric-wise that I thought would be okay was I already had some strips of burlap left over from another project, and this is a feed sack that I had ripped up sometime. So I do think it's going to need to be a little bit thinned out. And so you could trim that up with scissors. Hey, honey, you're gonna have to go in the other room. Okay, so can't really, we'll see. I'd rather cut it too long because you can always cut it shorter, but you can't make it grow, right? So we'll see. Put some hot glue on the edge of it. And then I'm just gonna hope it will stick in between the lids. So there's what that looks like. And then for the scarf, I think red would be better, and I can always switch it out, but just to give you the idea, I've got my not so good scissors again, darn it. So I think red, kind of a burgundy like what's on the hat would work best. So then before you put all the extras on it, the details on it, you would want to spray paint your rings if you wanted them to go white. But I would definitely put them all together. I wouldn't just spray paint the lids and by themselves. I would want to have them all wired and attached first. I think we're gonna have to go longer. So you want this to be able to go around the snowman's neck and then still have some to dangle. And if you had this burlap and you didn't want to buy some ribbon and you had spray paint or any kind of paint, you could always paint it really fast too. Because one of the things I'm big on is when you're doing all of these projects, you want to be able to use things that you just have laying around and not buy something special. Okay, so I'm gonna cut that chunk off. I definitely thought this strip was gonna be plenty long, and then now I'm thinking I actually might need the whole thing. Okay, I'm gonna grab some more. And then I went out and got just a couple little pieces of greenery. So for the arms, you could do twigs, or like the black pipe cleaners that I grabbed, you could use those as arms. And what I'm planning on doing is just glue, using the hot glue and gluing it to like the inside of the ring versus the outside of the ring. Although I'm not sure exactly how stable that will be. And then a scarf like this on any little craft project you do, or pretty much anything, going off to the side is always going to be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than, my head's rocking so it's not attached that well, then going straight on. So off to the side is going to be better. And then I do think the colored would have been better. The other thing is you could do a skinnier burgundy and go around this one, and then a shorter and a longer is also going to look better when it comes to our scarf. And cutting things at an angle is also a little technique to make things look nicer. So really I could put a little dollop of glue right here, glue it to that jar to give it the curve, and same thing here to kind of finish it off a little bit. So that is another option. I also feel like I really should probably trim off that one dowel rod because I don't think it's long enough. So this little twig, I thought it was cute because it had a little spot there, but I think it might be a little bit too long. So let's see if we can break it. And I gotta back up so I can kind of look at our proportions here. Probably still a little bit too long. So the first time I broke off the end because I did want to have this little taper, or not tapered, but Y at the end of the stick. Oh, smells good. And then the second time I went off to the side. So I would say this is probably a pretty good proportion. Get that in there like that. So we're gonna try and put some hot glue at the end of it and just see if we can get it to attach, stick to something. And is that the spot that I was gonna do it at? I think so. Okay. Then on this one, we could probably try it right here. Again, just so we can have a little wide section. There we go, on our stick. Kind of make it comparable size. Great, this one's a little bit shorter. I gotta turn it this way so I can see what I'm doing. So these pieces I could see not lasting, you know, through the holiday season. And, you know, if you put it in a tote this Christmas, you might end up having no twigs when you pull it out next Christmas, but that would be something easy to add. This one is sitting pretty close to this lid, so I'm gonna try and squirt a little bit of glue there and attach it to that lid. All right, so there is our snowman, who's a little lopsided, made out of the jar lid rings that we also used for the pumpkins. So I will see you guys tonight at 7 for my Sunday live sale. Got lots of good things, so you'll have to check it out. You like that, Allison and Nancy? Well, thank you. Hey, Chas. Thanks for watching, guys.